Hello, everybody. I'm Ethan Crane, and this is the Nephew of Sam podcast, the first ever Nephew of Sam podcast. It is January 1st, 2020. We made it. And I am here in Conway, Arkansas at the 8 Mile gas station. This is where I stopped for the night. I kind of wanted to have a drink and celebrate the new year. I don't really do much spending money out here on the road. And I ended up stopping in a dry county. I don't know why. I just did. And they said that's really nowhere between for 25 miles to get a drink around here. So, oh well, I can be sober. I wasn't wanting to get drunk or trash or anything. I just wanted to have a drink to bring in the new year. Um, anyways, so I talked myself into doing this. I tried to talk myself out of it this morning and all week and kind of put it off till January 1st. And I said, I'm going to do this on January 1st. So I put a date down and here I go. I'm starting. And this is kind of, I don't know, I just kind of want to talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on with culture, what's going on with current events, and kind of just give you my take on things. And to quote Phil Hartman, quoting Admiral James Stockdale, who am I? Why am I here? And that's how I'm going to start off this podcast. Who am I and why am I here? I guess it goes, I'll try and give you the skinny on it and not put too much information and not talk too much. I'm going to try and keep these things short, I guess. But if they go long, they go long. I guess I'll let it be organic. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, to start off, I guess we'll start off with when I was a teenager. I felt I had a calling in my life. I felt God calling me to do something, to serve Him, to serve others, and to do good in the world, and to make the world a better place. And so through that, I started preaching when I was a teenager in high school, and I preached throughout my younger years. And I became a youth minister, and I helped out with other church plants, and just I guess I felt a calling, and I kept on moving that way. Eventually, I felt myself called away from the ministry to go into law enforcement. I guess that was shortly after. I guess I kind of went through a spat where I got out of the ministry for a little bit, and I was looking for the next ministry spot to go to, and I decided I felt the call to go into law enforcement. I left the call for the ministry to go in the call for law enforcement. I figured it was a great way to serve people, to serve others, and to protect people. I often think about all the horrible things that happen to women and children and other people, and I even think about just people being stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire, and I just want to be able to help them. And I thought, well, I guess what got me there, one thing I was thinking is, what a great way to have a job and get paid to help people, to serve people. And cops get paid a decent amount of money. They don't get paid enough. And so that's what I did. I decided to go on that road. Kind of what led me there is I had a lot of people in my life kept on speaking to me saying, hey, why don't you be a cop? You'd be a good cop. And I always thought, I'm not the cop type. I really don't know what that means. I guess I had an idea. I know I had a few run-ins with good cops and bad cops, and I thought, well, why not? One of my biggest influences was my friend Dave Haynes. He told me that he thought I would make a great cop. He just became a cop in St. Louis City. He was a cop there, and so I said, well, what the heck? I'm gonna go ahead. I went to college. I got my degree in administration of justice. And so eventually, soon after that, I started getting through my first year of that, and I was getting close, probably to graduating. It's a 2-year degree, administration of justice, and I decided to apply for the St. Louis Police Department, and I applied there, and I was excited. I went through all the testing. It's a big, long process. All police departments are, and it was going good, and it was looking promising, and I was still in school. And shortly after I got done with all the testing and everything, I was waiting to hear back. And I was in Walmart walking around doing some shopping one day. I got a phone call. And it was my friend. And she said, I was sorry to hear about your friend. And I'm saying, sorry to hear about your friend. I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, no one's told. And she said, no one's told you yet? And I said, no. I'm like, what's going on? And horrible way for a conversation to start. And she said, your friend Dave was killed in line of duty. I didn't know. And in the middle of Walmart, trying to process that, trying not to cause a scene or have people look at me. So I got out of there, and that was tough. Dave was a good guy. He served in the Marines. He served his friends. He served everyone he was in his life. That was kind of the theme of his life, was serving people, protecting people. He loved that. And he was only in the police department for not very long when this happened. And he was doing well there. He was doing a lot of good stuff. He got some accommodations already, and he's really making everyone proud. He was doing good things. And he was one of my main influences on getting into this. And so that emboldened me more to try harder and not give up. Because I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let the people around me down. And so shortly after that, about a week after that, I got a phone call from the St. Louis Police Department. And they decided to... No, I didn't get a phone call. I got a letter. And they decided... There was a letter saying they decided to go ahead and pass on me. I wasn't being chosen to be in the police department. Man, it wasn't even a week later, because I remember I got that letter before the funeral. So it was all right about that time. And so I was processing a lot of that time. So I finished my degree, and I kept on moving forward, because I knew I had this goal, had this calling in my life. I had to do this. There was something inside me that's kept on pushing me forward. I couldn't quit. There were times in my life when I decided I wanted to quit. I gave up on it, but I got jobs, and something just pushed me right back towards it. And so I applied at different places, and close ones, and almost, and all that stuff. And I never did make it. And so I figure, hey, I got to keep on going. I just couldn't quit. I couldn't stop. There was something inside me that says, you were made for this. This is your purpose in life, is to be a cop. So I didn't quit. You know, I did everything I could. I wrote letters. I kept on working out, getting healthy, staying in shape, running. And let's see, I think I applied for the St. Louis County Police Department. I applied for a few different police departments for that, but I applied for St. Louis County Police Department, and I was real close in that. And I went in for the testing for that, and took the test, and it seemed like that went really well, the written test. And I was working so hard to get to that 1.5 mile run that a week before that, I was running around the park there in my town, and I had to stop. I fell to the ground from pain shooting up my shins. Felt like my legs were going to break in half. And it was just horrible. And I didn't know if I was going to make it to my car. I thought I was going to have to call someone to help come pick me up. And so that was a week before I had to do my physical test. And so I went in, I rested, or I put heat and cold on it, and tried to eat enough protein, stuff like that. Tried to do everything I could to try and get my legs right for this test I had to take at St. Louis County. And I went in, I started running. They have this little tiny track you run around. It's like 21 laps to make a mile. And I started running. I probably got about 4 laps around, and I was in pain. It was horrible. I couldn't make it. I had to quit. And so there went that one. And so then I kept on trying and thinking about it and applying places, and I got into corrections. I started being a correctional officer, and I loved it. I thought corrections was awesome. I loved being around it. I loved the people I worked with. I loved serving my community. I loved being in that situation, being in that scenario. Jail is a really, really wild, interesting place with wild and interesting people. Some people are just addicts, and they get off the drugs and they're fine. They're good people. Some people are just good people, made bad decisions. Some people are really bad people. Some people are the worst of the worst. And I've seen them. They're bad people in there, and you got to watch out for them. The people I've been around, that the things that they've done to other people and children and women and all that stuff. So, but I loved working there, and I even loved the inmates. I love being around inmates. I love talking with inmates. I loved encouraging inmates, talking to them, trying to help them understand, like, this does not define you. This doesn't have to define your life. You still have a life to live to make a difference in the world. And I love that. I love being able to do that. And so I started off at St. Louis City Corrections. That was overwhelming in the way that every day was a scramble. There was just not enough officers there. So you had to do a lot of work, and it was exhausting. I wore my boots out working that job. You would be surprised how much you can put wear on in boots doing corrections. running around a jail. So eventually I got a job at St. Charles County Corrections, which is a great place to work. And a lot better organized, a lot better structured. Still shorthanded, still dealing with a lot of junk. All correctional jobs are all shorthanded. A lot of overtime. Just not be able to spend time with your family. So I applied to try and be in a few other departments while I was there. I tried getting into Denver Police Department and Denver Sheriff's Department. Really close on all those, didn't make it. Don't know exactly what happened. I think I had a bad reference from one of my jobs. I don't know why they gave me a bad reference, but they did. And it turns out, looking back at some of the other places I applied, that might be what it was. I was getting a bad reference from a job. But, you know, it is what it is. And so I probably applied for all these departments. I applied for St. Louis City probably like 4 times. And they still wouldn't hire me. And the main reason St. Louis City wouldn't hire me because I made a bad decision in my life. I got a DUI a long time ago, long before I applied, and it was and they would not hire anyone. They had a policy would not hire anyone that ever had a DUI. That was the chief's policy. They weren't going to change on that, and so they weren't going to hire me. And even though I had like one of the highest scores on the testing there, they wouldn't hire me. It was a good score. I think I had like a 9 out of 10, so that's a good score. And so they would not hire me. And so eventually one day I'm just sitting around not knowing what I'm going to do. I keep on working in corrections. I just don't know what direction I'm going. It was shortly after I got the rejection from Denver, from both places. So very discouraging. It's very hard applying and going to different places and doing this over and over, this process. It's, over 10 years of my life I was doing this, working on this, trying. I get a phone call from St. Louis City. And I applied with them probably about 3 years prior. And they said, hey, we're bringing back some of the applications and we want to know if you're still interested in being a St. Louis City cop. Oh my gosh. Out of nowhere, God answers prayer. It's all working out. It was all in design. I can see it now. I'm looking back, and God had a plan for all this, and so I got accepted to the St. Louis Police Department, my dream job. Oh my God, I'm walking on air. And so here I am, just going through this whole process. I get in there. And I'm going through all the testing, doing all the things. I'm going through the classes, doing all the running and working out and all the fun stuff. I'm excited, learn how to drive a cop car. Just fun stuff. And we're doing a lot of running. They're real serious about the running there. And I started feeling pains in my shins again. So I started doing everything I could, ice, heat, compression socks when I'm not running. They wouldn't really let us wear compression socks when we were there. I was doing everything I could. I was trying to eat right, trying to work on my diet, everything. And they kept on getting worse. And you run a lot there. You run sometimes you run 4 days a week, 5 days a week. And My legs just weren't having it. So I ended up being on limited duty while I was in the academy. Ended up going to the therapist. They sent me to the therapist to look at my legs. And they said, yeah, you have shin splints. And they started looking at it, and they started seeing how my legs are, like how my legs are pretty much how I was born, how they're designed. And I have like this weird thing where I don't have much flex in my tendons. I have really tight tendons in my legs, which has been my strength when it came to jumping and running. It helped me run and jump really fast. But what it caused was for me to run using my front muscles in my legs a lot. That's why I was really prone to shin splints all these years. And so we did what we could. I got to where I was doing good on the elliptical machine, and I was doing that great. I get back to running, and it just wasn't having it. So I had to make the decision to leave the St. Louis Police Academy. And I didn't know that I was giving up on my dream at that time or what I was doing. And so I left there, and I realized, well, I got to take care of my family. That's the main thing. One of the big things that really happened to me, one of the things I really wanted in life, I struggled with for a long time. I got married when I was 34 to my wonderful wife, Marie. Wonderful woman. She puts up with a lot, being me, especially through all that time of me trying to be a cop. And we had two wonderful kids, a little girl and a little boy. And man, I am blessed to have them in my life. So this ain't all a sad story, you know. There is good stuff that's happened through this time, a lot of good stuff. I'm a very fortunate person to have them in my life and to have my family and my friends. So don't feel sorry for me. So I dropped out of the police academy. I didn't know what I was going to do. And long story short, I decided to become a truck driver. So here I am driving trucks. This is not what I planned. This is not what I wanted to do. And I don't feel I've given up. I haven't given up. I got to keep on going. Maybe this podcast is me keeping on going. Maybe it's just my midlife crisis. I'm 41 now. So maybe it's a good midlife crisis. I guess midlife crises aren't so bad. And this is what I'm doing. I'm in a truck and I'm driving around the country. And the cool thing about it, I get to listen to current events on the news and listen to different podcasts. A lot of great podcasts out there. And I get to call people and talk to them on the phone, which is cool. I get to stay in touch with people. When I work in the jails, I was just kind of disconnected from the world. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm going to try and start this podcast. I'm looking around the world, and there's some voices out there, but there's not many voices that are more moderate voices. I'm going to try and be more of a moderate voice. I'm not exactly moderate. I definitely have my leanings in different directions. The thing is, I don't fit in the box of what we're supposed to fit in. I don't fit into the Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal box that we're all kind of feel drawn to. And so I want to start a podcast and kind of talk about that stuff and kind of talk about my feelings on it. And I think I have some good ideas. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's the same ideas that everyone else is thinking of. And maybe it's just because no one else wants to talk about some of the things I'm going to try and talk about during this. I'm going to kind of let it be organic and just kind of do the thing, just let it happen. I'd like to be able to have other people and interview or talk with people, maybe have guests, maybe have regulars, and just talk to people. But it's kind of hard to do that on the road here. I'm kind of making the best of my time making this podcast on the road, so I'm kind of out here by myself. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just talk to people at truck stops and rest areas. That seems kind of weird and kind of awkward. But I don't know what I'm going to do. That's going to be organic, and I'm just going to let it happen. And I don't know how many I'm going to do a week. I'm going to try and do at least one a week. Maybe I'll do a bunch of short ones. Maybe I'll do one long one. I don't know. But I'm going to do this. And I just think we need to start talking about what we're thinking instead of yelling about it. And that's kind of what this is about. And I just want everyone just to chill out and be cool. And let's get past this, because this is America. We are a very strong country. Actually, our biggest strength is how different we all are, and how we all come from different backgrounds, and we all come from um, a great line of great people who worked really hard to get to this country, or been through different experiences and were brought to this country under different circumstances, and how that built strength. And it's the sometimes it's survival of the fittest, sometimes it was people just coming with big hearts, big passion, big ideas, and not willing to give up and not give up on dreams. And we are America. That's what we are. That's our big strength. And so I kind of want to bring that out and to see that we're fortunate to have all these different people. That we need each other. That we all need each other, whether what our backgrounds are, and that's how we're going to survive. And that's how we are one of the greatest places in the world to live. Now, this is a great country, and I'm doing great. And I don't know where to stop. I guess this is where I'll stop at. And this is the first podcast. All right. I'll see you next time. Thank you.